Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us on this special occasion where I'll be having a chat to Ms. Sylvia Baloy, the CEO of Letohonolo HR Consulting. She's a trailblazer and the captain of her own ship. So without further ado, let me introduce you to the lady of the moment herself.
Thank you, Annastasia, and I'm excited to be here. And really, it's been a while, with the COVID and everything, we've been put, in our own spaces. And I'm glad, today we're meeting and talking, Yeah, so I'm an industrial psychologist and transition coach from the Letohonolo HR Consulting. And our consulting, we started a few years ago, but recently, we just decided let's revamp everything.
Okay.
Yeah, and now we're zooming into transition. So that's why we're excited today that we'll be talking about the transition and across all the levels.
Across all levels, yes.
Yeah.
And a little bit more about yourself. What do you enjoy doing when you're not working?
I've been told I'm a workaholic.
You and me both.
Yeah, but you know what? I think with time, you actually realize the importance of balancing things out.
Yeah.
So now I work, and then but also weekends I take time off.
For some self-care.
Yeah, for self-care and meeting with people like yourself.
Yeah,
wonderful
cup of
moments.
coffee.
Over a cup of coffee. Yes.
And then tell us a little bit about Letohonolo. Why the name Letohonolo?
It's a long story. You know what? We started the company and we were like, let's get names. And everybody was like, no, use my name. And then we have Vincent. His name is Lucky.
Yes.
So he said, oh, okay, Vincent, you use your name. Like, no, this is the name. If you use my name, you'll be lucky, and people will be lucky to engage with you. So it's more like, Letohonolo, literally translated, it's very lucky. So we are grateful to have the clients that we're working with, and also for us, to be able to impact people.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're focusing on.
Okay, awesome. And then what, are there any special projects you're working on currently?
Yes, we are excited. There's an audio book coming about transition. So that's a new thing that we're focusing on, because we're realizing that people need, you watch the video, but sometimes you just need to listen. When people are jogging, when you're cooking, when you're just driving, it's something that will just help you to relax. And I've had people asking me, what is transition? What do you do? So we decided, let's do the podcast. And also in the audio book, we're referring a lot. So there's a lot of details that people will get when they listen to the audio book.
To the audio book,
yes.
Okay, but you mentioned the word now, transition. Okay, do you want to go into it a little bit so that our viewers can understand what that is?
Yes, yeah. Transition, simply put, is a process of changing and also shifting in one's life.
Yes.
And transition happens, every day.
Yes.
And sometimes you don't even realize that you are in transition.
Yeah.
But it's important for people to realize that when they are struggling to make the change, it means transition is happening. And that's where they need services of people like myself, as a transition coach, to enable them to navigate those changes.
Okay, so my next question was going to be, what opportunities have arisen, from the pandemic, and how have you responded to them? So with the audiobook coming up, and also you now focusing more on transitioning, is this the only opportunity that has come up, or do you have any other opportunities that this pandemic actually, by its mere, size and impact on people's lives have actually created for your company? Because I would assume your services are needed now more than ever, to help people to actually accept the new normal, but also to transition, into now living within this new abnormal normal, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's been massive, the impact. We have seen the impact on individuals, on communities, on families. So, in the past, when you're dealing with transition, it was only with one person, so we rally around the person and help them. But now suddenly, it's everyone going through the same transition. So it's become so important that we enable individuals and also allow them to, in the teams as well, because sometimes as an individual you are transitioning, but there's other team members.
Yes.
So we broaden it. It's not just focusing on one person, but it's to look at other individuals. And the same as well in the families.
Yes.
We have realized during this period that families have gone through a lot of challenges.
Yes.
And some families, people don't talk about certain things in
Yes.
the families, but now we have opened that, we have shared a lot of information with people and allowing them, to focus on those transitions in the workplace and also at a personal level.
Yes, I was actually going to ask that. I mean, as people are starting to go back to work, your services there also would be needed, because I mean, I've been speaking to somebody and they're saying they're actually anxious to go back. So it's almost like transitioning from working from home in your isolated space, and then now you must leave that safe space and go back into this other space with other people. So how do you think your methods will actually assist companies? Because I would actually think if I'm an owner of a big company, I would really actually reach out to somebody like you to come and assist us, to help our employees actually integrate back into the company. So how do you think what you are doing would actually impact or assist big corporates?
Yes, yeah. I think you mentioned an important thing, because when the lockdown started, the transition where people started to work from home, it was also big, because people didn't know what to expect. And suddenly, as families, as mothers, fathers, you had to be a teacher. You had to teach your children, you had to do all those things. So that we did that with the organization, just having engagement with the individuals and also with the team.
Okay.
To give them tools that will help them to navigate the changes.
Okay.
So it's actually big, in the workplace as well.
So it is something that I think you need to perhaps think of approaching corporates and making them aware, because more than ever, employees' mental health, is also now becoming, very, very important, right?
Yes, yeah, no, you're touching on a very crucial thing, the mental health, especially because people are not comfortable to talk about mental health, because of the stigma.
Yes.
So we have actually had a lot of sessions with the teams. And also presenting workshops, presenting seminars to enable people to deal and openly talk about it. We say it's like any other disease that you have. So why must you feel like you can't talk about it?
Yes, and I mean, we've seen it come through. I mean, sports people are now speaking openly about it. That they are not coping. People deal with things very differently. But I think one other good thing that came out of it is that you find people are more open, to engage on how they feel, right? And then there's a word that I found somewhere, like about being stuck. I think I read it in one of your articles. How do you define being stuck?
Yes, yeah. It's actually an interesting point, because we covered it in our also the audio book as well.
Yes,
yeah. So we have found that during this period, a lot of people, they are immobilized. They can't move, and some of them, they say, you know what, I know what I need to do, but I just can't get myself to doing it.
Yes.
So it's not just you don't want to do it, but it's like you want, but there's no will. So most of the people are finding themselves in that position that you start and you don't know what to do.
Yes.
Yeah. So what we do, we enable people to allow them to feel that, because at times you need to feel to be in that space where you're feeling unstuck.
Yes.
But it's time for you to reflect, but don't stay there forever.
Yeah.
You need to get unstuck. So that's why in the audio book we talk more about that.
Yeah.
And so I can give you an example for myself, because sometimes you deal with these things, but you also go through them yourself. I mean, with the transition, when everything started, I also went through the same transition. Our organization also went through transition. But the beauty is that we had a transition coach that we were working with, who enabled us in that period. So I remember at this stage, we were doing a lot of things, and people, we do an intervention, and then people come back again. And we're like, we've given you the intervention,
Giving you the
giving you
tools,
and then they kept on coming back. So we started with the deliberations among ourselves to find out what exactly are we missing. And then we realized that because of the massive changes that happened, people needed actually more of a continuous support structure. We understand that at times you don't want people to be dependent on you, but you also want people to feel enabled. So we started what we call the network. So the network is where we have a collection of people, they come in, and then we have one-on-one sessions with them where we can deal with why are you stuck. because sometimes, when you are in a bigger group, it's not easy to open up and share that. So in a safe space, we're able to share and understand what are some of your challenges. And then on Saturdays, we have all the people coming in a team. And then we talk, openly about those challenges. And it has also helped with it's no longer a stigma.
Yes.
People can talk about anything in those sessions, and it allows people to feel they are being heard, and then they can share how they feel. So that's one area that we focus on.
And are you dealing with this in your audiobook?
Yes.
This the methods that you're using to actually assist people to get unstuck.
Yes. We have it in the audiobook. So the audiobook will really get into more details.
Yes.
So now I'm just touching high level, but they must get the audiobook, and then it will help them to understand them.
So please tell us, tell the viewers where they can get a copy of the audiobook. Is it online? And on which platforms?
Yeah, it's online on all social media platforms, and then we also ventured into other, the Spotify and YouTube, so those are the channels where people can get it, on TikTok for young people, so we've made it really accessible, because we have realized that most of our services, they're not accessible, to most people. So now we have started this process to say, let's have the journey with people, and then once you have gone through the podcast, the audio, it helps you as an individual to realize when you're in transition, because most of our people, they actually don't know whether they're in transition or not.
But I'd love to share just a little bit more details about the audiobook as to your target audience. You mentioned young people, so can you just talk me through your target audience? So is this only for professionals, or can anyone use this advice that you're giving in that audiobook?
Yes, we actually made it accessible to anyone who's going through transition. And transition can be at any stage, whether young people, older, mature people. So we have seen that with our client base as well. It's across levels. So the audiobook is helpful for everyone, because once you're going through a transition, sometimes you're going through a minor transition, sometimes going through a major transition. So the tips that are there will enable everyone.
So I'm thinking single people who are transitioning to getting married, people who are preparing to be parents, maybe people who are preparing to go back to work, or students who are preparing to go from lower primary to say high school. So it's for everybody. So the name of the book
is a transition. Just call it transition.
Just transition.
Transition.
Transition, and it's available on all online music platforms.
It's available on online
on your website.
On our website.
Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. You've already touched on quite a few things about being stuck and about transitioning, and I'm happy that you're actually doing this work at this time, because we've never been hit by a pandemic before, and from my personal opinion, I do think that it's something that will really assist the country, and not just South Africans, because transitioning is for everybody as long as you're human, right?
Yes.
So do you have any plans to roll it out on the rest of the continent, to enter into speaking engagements? Which countries are you looking at going into, to take this important work? Because I don't think it should only be for South Africans.
Yes, no, that's an important question, because we also, after the audiobook is out, we also will be running workshops. Intensive workshops where people will be enabled. So we have workshops, like some of them it's a month, some is 3 months. So it depends on where the individual is at. And then of course, Africa is our next big thing. So we're looking to go into the African continent. And already we have followers in different countries already. In Africa. So we're ready.
The world has become much smaller, eh?
Exactly.
So the entrepreneurs should really look and tell themselves that, the world has become smaller, and health is health. And mental health issues and the issues that you're raising, they are not just confined to a certain region. So with that question, my follow-up then is that, where do you see your company 5 years from now?
I think, we already a household name in South Africa, so we want the same, in Africa and internationally, because of the impact that we're having on individuals, on teams, and on organizations. Because when we engage with one person, you know, we assist one person, but there's a lot of people who are benefiting from our interventions. You know, for example, if we have an intervention with the mother, you know, once they have transitioned effectively, that impacts their children, their spouse, you know, and people around them. So it's a big responsibility that we have, and we're ready, you know, and we love the effect that people are getting help, because in the past people will sit and, you know, being stuck. It's also part of being, they'll stew in their own issues, and, you know, even isolate yourself. You know, you just stay alone and not even reach out. But now we've realized people are reaching out more, because we're putting out the content out there to say it's okay to not be okay, you know, at times, and give yourself space, and after a while you'll transition effectively. And unfortunately you move from one transition to another one.
And even as you transition, you realize, oopsie, maybe I need to transition to something else.
Exactly.
Isn't it? So your work can never be done. But I mean, I'm so happy that we've got time to have coffee this morning and face to face, you know, because the work that you're doing is so important, and I'm hoping that the viewers out there, you know, you have taken a few lessons from this discussion this morning. And and just reach out to Sylvia on her social media platforms. She's very active on LinkedIn as well. And visit her website, get the audiobook, and I can't wait to follow you and see what the future has in store for you.
Thank you, Annastasia, for this time. I really appreciate you and your company. I mean, you know, these collaborations are so important. You
Definitely.
know, we always think, you know, women are not collaborating, but, you know, this is a true testimony that it can be done.
It can be done.
You know, so I'm really looking forward to a greater future. You know, working with you.
I'm just as excited. And thank you for reaching out, and I mean, showing that, you know what, you are a true believer in collaboration. And I mean, we are here to support you, and, you know, to just help you grow and rise, because you will lift as you rise. You know, and with that words, I'm saying, may you be blessed.
Thank you.
And may the Lord shine His face upon you and bless you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. We'll see you at our next podcast. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.